Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Dharayati. So, Srila Bhaktivinod Takur is described in his pranam mantra that he is empowered with the energy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's a strict follower of Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Bhaktivinod Takur is described by our founder Acharya, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, as being the pioneer of spreading Krishna consciousness in the Western world. That was in the year 1896, which was the year of the birth of Srila Prabhupada. Our founder Acharya was born in 1896, and that same year Bhaktivinod Takur was sending books about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the universities in Canada and in USA, because Srila Bhaktivinod Takur had the vision. He was a visionary, and he made predictions that in the future there will be devotees all over the planet, and people of all different races and nationalities and colors. They will all come together to chant the holy name of Lord Gauranga. Srila Bhaktivinod Takur envisioned this 100 years more ago. We could hardly imagine. So he was a very visionary person. Not only did he foresee that people from different parts of the world would come to Mayapur, but he envisioned that in the future there would be a big temple also in Mayapur. That was Srila Bhaktivinod's vision, that in the future there will be a very wonderful temple established there in Navadvip Dham. Srila Bhaktivinod Takur is described as being the seventh Goswami. He was not a sannyasi. Srila Bhaktivinod Takur was a grihastha, and his first wife died, so he took a second wife, and they had 13 children. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, or Bimal Prasad, he was like the fourth son of Bhaktivinod Takur. So why did Bhaktivinod Takur have to have so many children? He wanted them to help him to spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he trained them from childhood how to be great devotees. He taught them everything, just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He was taught as a young child. He had memorized all the Bhagavad Gita, all the verses, and then his father trained him in book production. So Srila Bhaktivinod Takur wrote many books. Actually, before he took up the preaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he spent a lot of time in scholarship, because Srila Bhaktivinod Takur grew up in the late 19th century. So at that time India was under the British rule, and so the British were trying to encourage people away from their Vedic culture and to take up the Western culture and bring them to Christianity and things like this, make them more materialistic. And Srila Bhaktivinod Takur, he grew up in that kind of era, so he was learned in languages, and he wrote books, not only in Bengali, and actually he was there also in Orissa. He was working in the government service, and he was involved in the court affairs, and he was at one point in charge of the temple at Jagannath Puri. And at that time there was a very notorious yogi who was claiming that he was an incarnation of Vishnu. And this yogi had corrupted many innocent women and was misleading a lot of people. So the British government did not know how to deal with him. And the only thing they could think to do was to request Kedarnath Datta, who is actually Bhaktivinod Takur. They requested him, you do something about this man. Get him, find out what he's doing wrong and have him arrested. So it was Srila Bhaktivinod Takur who took him to task, even at the risk of his own life, because this yogi was very powerful and he threatened to do great harm to Srila Bhaktivinoda and all of his family. But Bhaktivinoda persisted. He was very determined to defeat all of these corrupt teachers who were misleading the people and who were claiming to be incarnations of God. So that yogi was eventually sentenced to hard labor in prison, and he ended up committing suicide in the prison. So everyone understood he was actually an impostor, he wasn't a genuine incarnation. Then Srila Bhaktivinod Takur desired to establish the proper birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he understood it could not be in Navadvip town, because it's described in the books like Chaitanya Bhagavad that the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was near to the Chankazi, and so Chankazi Samadhi is one of the established places there in the town of Mayapur. So Srila Bhaktivinod Takur wanted to find out where is actually the birth site of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was living at Swarup-Ganji. We went to his house. You will remember Sarabi Kunj. First at Sarabi Kunj, Srila Bhaktivinod lived there, and then later on he moved round the corner to his house where his Samadhi is there, just round the corner. And while he was on the roof, he could see some effulgence over in Mayapur. And then he went over there and he investigated, and he found many tulsis were growing there. And then more investigation, and they discovered even Vishnu Murti there. And this Vishnu Murti was confirmed to be the worshipable deity of Jagannath Mishra. So in this way, Srila Bhaktivinod Takur began the actual birth site of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Previously, people all thought that the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in Navadvip, but it was Bhaktivinod Takur who established the birthplace over in Mayapur, and then later on it was his son Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati who developed it and brought more people out there, and gradually people began to accept that the actual birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in Mayapur. So this was something of the legacy of Bhaktivinod Takur. Srila Bhaktivinod Takur labored intensely to spread Krishna consciousness. He wrote so many wonderful books and songs, poems. We've just been singing some of his songs. Every day we sing many songs of Bhaktivinod Takur. We sing the Gora Arti every evening. We sing Jai Radha Madhava every time before class. There's so many we were singing in the morning when you go on Parikram. We often sing Vibhavari Shesha and Jeev Jago and Udila Aruna. All of these songs are written by Srila Bhaktivinod Takur. He labored. It's not so easy thing to write these songs and to write the books. He worked very hard and very intensely. He hardly slept. Although he was a married man with many children and with government service, but he still found time to chant the holy name and to write so many books and wonderful songs, all for our benefit. We are so fortunate, we're so much indebted to him. He has given us so much. So this is actually his birthplace, and his youngest son was called Lalit Prasad. Lalit Prasad used to live here, and Prabhupada came here to meet Lalit Prasad. Our own Srila Prabhupada came here to meet him. At one point, the devotees had met Lalit Prasad, and Lalit Prasad had said he'd got some of the writings of Srila Bhaktivinod Takur which had not been published. So Srila Prabhupada was interested that, maybe you like to give them to us and we can publish them in our BBT for ISKCON. So Prabhupada came and spoke to him anyway for some time, and there was some discussion, but nothing ever happened. Lalit Prasad himself was a little different, not quite like Srila Bhaktivinod Takur. And some different brothers, they have different opinions. They say that actually what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was teaching, that was not really what Bhaktivinoda wanted. You have to follow me, I'll teach you what really Bhaktivinoda wanted. Like that, it's always difficult. Different people have their own ideas, they want their own ways. So nothing really happened. But when Bhaktivinoda Takur was here, you can see inside there's 12 Shiva Lingas, right? 12 Shiva Lingas. And they used to be worshipped in the time of Bhaktivinoda Takur. They were worshipped, but the worship was stopped by this youngest son, this Lalit Prasad. Why did he stop the worship?
It was done by his grandparents, not Bhaktivinoda.
It was done by his grandparents.
Yeah, they set up the worship. They established the linga.
Yeah, Srila Bhaktivinod Takur, he was born in a family of great wealth. His maternal grandfather was fabulously wealthy. And so you can see this is a big place. There's quite a big area. And it must be very valuable property. So they were living here for some time, and Srila Bhaktivinod Takur was born in that kind of family and had very good education. He studied all different religions, and he concluded that the highest philosophy, the greatest knowledge was there in the teachings of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And he had great difficulty in his time to find a copy of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Could not find a copy. It took him a long time to locate one copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. But he was very happy to find it, and when he did find it, he wrote also commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's like the postgraduate study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Until Krishna Prabhu was just telling me today, while we were coming here, he said that Srila Bhaktivinod Takur said that he did not really understand Srimad Bhagavatam until he read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, very important. We were talking about Jiva Goswami. Remember how he sent Narottama and Srinivas with the books, and the books had, all these things like the conversations between Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya, which are there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Srila Bhaktivinod Takur wanted these kind of books. It's sometimes in course of time these things are lost. They're very, very valuable. It's very important to hear from the past acharyas and to know what their teachings are. Nowadays, of course, we do have a library there in Calcutta. They have the Bhaktivedanta Research Library, and they have a lot of ancient manuscripts there. So Srila Bhaktivinod Takur, he really endeavored. And his program also, he was going preaching. He wrote also the book, he organized the Namhata preaching, which was originally from Lord Nityananda. Namhata, the marketplace of the holy name. Srila Bhaktivinod developed it, how it should be structured and what should be the different arrangements, how many people should be in a group and when you should break into another group. So Srila Bhaktivinod Takur designed all that structure and he wrote about it. And he also went out preaching. And his program was just like our program. We follow him. He would do kirtan, then he'd give a class, and then prasadam. So his program, we're just following whatever Bhaktivinoda Takur gave us. It's all his. We're just simply trying to follow in his footsteps. So we're so much indebted to him. Later on, while he was living in Mayapur there for a long time, then later on at the end of his life, he moved over to Jagannath Puri. And he was actually saying that if you can get a horse, put me on the horse and take me for preaching. He wanted to go out and preach. Even though he could not walk, he wanted to go out for preaching. He had that desire. So we're so much indebted to Srila Bhaktivinod Takur, and we've come here to this place to show him, all devotees from different countries, how they're coming here to get his blessings and to ask him to please empower us that we can go on and continue to distribute the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was thinking there about he had to, what we so much take for granted, like Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's just in all of our temple rooms. I mean, you just, anyone go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, they'll go and get one. And Thakur Bhaktivinoda, he had to seek and endeavor so hard just to find the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, if he had not have made that endeavor, it may have just become lost, some obscure scripture, in some archive somewhere, and the world would never have known the extent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, which are in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Apart from the Chaitanya Charitamrita and some other Vrindavan Thakur, but the Mahaprabhu's teachings was not understood by society, by humanity. They were considered the sahajiyas, they were considered the rejects of society beyond the Varnashram, because they didn't understand the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's the most important theological treatise in humanity. Humanity doesn't know that now. The mission of Thakur Bhaktivinoda is to make it known to humanity that the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the deepest theological work in all of humanity, and he's gone. That's our mission. That's our preaching mission. And we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. People still do not understand the science of God that Mahaprabhu appeared to give to humanity. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Thakur Bhaktivinoda had rescued that from complete obscurity. What a contribution for humanity. What an honor it is to be able to be in his sampradaya and be in this mission, the greatest mission for all of humanity. Prabhupada explained that history will understand that this movement saved the world in its darkest hour. And at the time of Thakur Bhaktivinoda, this movement was non-existent. He saved this movement. There was no, we just take it for granted. It's gone everywhere. We drive up the highway, we pull in, there's ISKCON Habipur, we lay out, we take prasad, Jai ISKCON, Jai Prabhupada, we go. ISKCON, we're everywhere. The same sign, the Lord is ISKCON. So easy for us. But he was alone. There was no other Vaishnavas. This whole movement was just resting in his heart. He was alone. And therefore he had Shashi Thakur, who further who established the institute and was criticized. But he instituted preaching, organized preaching. He's the seed of our movement, the father of our movement. Thakur Bhaktivinod Ki. Jai. And this is most auspicious Janmastan. What a special place. It's like a transcendental realm. Rajabhumi Prakash. What a great soul appeared here in Gaudadesh, surrounded by so many Tirthastan. We went to Shantipur, we went to Pulia, Advaita Charja Leela Stan, Mahaprabhu praying for Pulia, Thakur Haridas Bhajan Stan. He appeared in this sanctified place, and it's such a special place, extraordinary estate. Prabhu Bhaktivinod ki Jai. Mayapur tourism ki Jai. Giving us such treasures.
Yeah, I just wanted to add also that Bhaktivinoda Takur was initiated by Bipin Bihari Goswami. But in our parampara, when we put the pictures on the altar, we show Jagannath Das Babaji and then Bhaktivinoda Takur. So this was arranged by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He instructed like this. Parampara should be like this, to show also that Diksha is not as important as Shiksha. Jagannath Das Babaji was like Shiksha, giving Shiksha to Bhaktivinoda Takur, but his actual Diksha Guru was Bipin Bihari Goswami. But Bhaktivinoda Takur always had the greatest respect for his Diksha Guru. It didn't mean that he didn't respect his Diksha Guru. It was just decided that the parampara should be like that. That the prominent Acharya, the person who had contributed more to the development of the parampara, was Jagannath Das Babaji. Another point about Bhaktivinoda Takur was that he was preaching mostly in villages. More than 100 years ago in India, most people lived in villages. It's only recently, with the industrialization, that people all come to the city. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Takur was preaching in the villages with Namhata, and then later on it was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati who preached in the towns, and he established the Gaudiya Math with 64 centers around India. And then after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, then we have our own Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who preached all over the world and brought Lord Chaitanya's mission out of India to everyone around the planet. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Takur definitely envisioned that would happen in course of time. In his time it was not so possible, not so easy thing to do, but certainly he knew that in the future there's going to be more and more devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the holy name would be chanted everywhere. So we have to pray to Bhaktivinoda Takur, please bless us, please give us your mercy, help us to push on our preaching in these difficult times. Now the world is struggling. Wars in Russia and Ukraine, so many problems. We have the pandemic situation the last few years. We have to learn to adapt to all these different situations, to develop and to continue to spread Lord Chaitanya's mission. As Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told Prabhupada, Krishna consciousness cannot wait for some political adjustment. We have to preach in every situation. We have to be able to distribute Krishna consciousness. You cannot just wait for things to change. You cannot make excuses. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Questions?
What's the connection or link between Bhaktivinoda Takur and Kishore?
Say it again.
Okay,
What's the question?
Link between Bhaktivinoda Takur and Gaur Kishore Das.
what is the relation?
The link, well, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji used to regularly go to visit Bhaktivinoda Takur in his residence there at Swarupganj. And he used to hear Bhaktivinoda Takur lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam. And you can see when you go to Bhaktivinoda Takur Samadhi there at Swarupganj, there's also there's a bhajan kutir place of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, because he used to come and he'd stay there sometimes. He would stay there from time to time. So later on, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had to get initiation, Bhaktivinod Takur directed him. He said, you can take from Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji that he's a very good person, he's not a cheater and he's not corrupt. So he will be he was illiterate, which was unusual because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was so scholarly, but still, spiritually he was very advanced. And Bhaktivinoda Takur recommended Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji to be the Diksha Guru for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So that's how Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji is there in the Parampara. Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji didn't have many disciples. I think that was the only one, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, of course, had many disciples. And one of them was Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
He is Siksha Guru.
Huh?
He is Siksha Guru Maharaj.
Who?
I think she wants to understand the relationship between Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji and Bhaktivinoda Takur.
That's what he told.
In the parampara, basically.
Well, I told her that Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji would go there and hear from him. That is taking shiksha. If you go and hear somebody preach, you're taking their shiksha. So that's the point. I explained that.
Now, is this the place where the elephants, it talks about had elephants? And the maternal owner, he had elephants.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I assume that's here. You heard that? Yeah, I read that he had elephants. Well, we had elephants. Maybe there are elephants wandering around in the wild elephants that they maintain here. You heard, John?
I'm not heard of that.
I read it in the book, 7th Goswami. There are elephants in this place. I can imagine it.
I heard tigers.
They don't go together.
That's it.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. Bhaktivinoda Takur ki jai.